This is Flip Class Video 7. In this video, we will talk about lists in Python. So far in this course, we've talked about 3 different kinds of data type, namely integer, float, and character string. A Python list is a collection of variables to put many values in a single variable. So you can have a list to carry many values in one variable. In Python, we use a square bracket to declare and initialize the value for a list. So in this example, we declare a list called fruits with 3 values, namely apple, orange, and lemon. You can declare lists for various different kind of type. You can declare lists of integers which storing multiple integer values. You can declare lists of float point numbers which store multiple float point numbers. You can also declare lists of character strings which store multiple character strings. Notice that when you declare lists of character string, you need to use the double quotation mark in order to indicate that it is a string. Okay. You can also declare an empty list. An empty list can be used for programming purpose, and as your program progress, you can use an empty list to store multiple value. Lists behave very similar to character string as we learned from last week. On the left hand side, you have a code segment that you declare a list called students, containing 3 different character strings, namely John, Joe, and Mary. And you can print out the entire list by doing a print students statement. You can also print individual item in the list. By using a square bracket, you can reference to the item number in a list. So printing out student with item number 1 is printing out the second item, Joe. Remember, we're using a zero-based system, so item number 1 means the second item. So on the right hand side, you have an example in character string. So you have a variable declared as a character string with A, B, C, D, E. So similarly, you can print out the entire character string. You can reference to one particular character within a character string by using a square bracket. You can also perform list indexing and list slicing as if you were doing the same thing to a string, just like what we learned in last week. Here in this example, we have a list containing 5 items, basically 5 names of students. So you can reference to item number 1, which is the second item. You can also use negative index. So -2 is the second last item, which is Jane. You can also perform index slicing. So slicing from item 0 to item 3 would include items 0, 1, 2, but not including 3. So that the result will be John, Joe, and Mary. You can also use negative index for slicing without the ending index. So the starting index in this example is -3, which is the third last item. So starting with the item Mary until the end will give you the result of Mary, Jane, and Sam. Similar to string operation, when you are adding 2 lists, you are essentially joining the 2 lists, just like string concatenation. So in this example, we have 2 lists, student 1 and student 2. Each list contains 3 integer values. So we create a new list called var1 by adding student 1 to student 2, and the result is basically you're joining 2 lists. Okay, so you need to be very careful. If you actually want to add the value between the 2 lists, you should add individual value. Just like the example showing in the following, you have first of all you create an empty list called var2, and then the item number 0 in var2 equal to item number 0 in student 1 plus the value of item number 0 in student 2. So you need to be very careful about the addition. So the addition means joining the 2 lists, not adding the value of each individual list. Similarly, the multiplication sign in list means repeating the list rather than multiplying the value of the individual item in the list. So in this example, we have a variable, a list called var1, and this value equals to student1 times 3. So the result of that is you're basically duplicating the list 3 times. So if you want to multiply the value of each individual list item, you should be doing it manually, as in the following example. In var2, item 0 equals to item 0 of student1 times 3, and then var2 item 1 equals to student1 item 1 times 3, and so on. The list structure can be nested. That means you can create a list of a list and a list of a list of a list, and so on. So that facilitates you to create some complex data structure to represent some of the data that has a more complex nature. So in this first example, we have the list of a list. So the list student1 contains 2 lists, and each sublist contains 3 values. And then you reference each individual item using 2 index number. So student1 item 0 and item 0, that means the first item of the first item. All right. And then student1 item 0 item 1 means the first item and then the second item of the first item, right? So that's representing 94, the value 94 here. And then student1 index 1 and index 2, that means the second item and then the third item of the second item. That is referencing the value 91. Here we have a more complex example, right? This is a 3-dimensional nested list. So we have a list of a list of a list. Okay. So var1 001 is representing the second item of the first item of the first item. All right. So it is referencing the value 43 in this example. And then var1 index 110, that means the first item of the second item of the second item. Okay, so it is referencing the value 34 in this example. In Python, nested list does not need to be with the same length. Here we have an example of a nested list, so a list containing 3 lists, and the first list containing 3 items, the second list containing 2 items, and the third list containing 5 items. Lists in Python can be heterogeneous. That means lists can store values that contain multiple data type. In this example, we create a list called student1, and it is storing 5 different values: a character string, 3 integer, and a float point number. Okay, so list does not have to be in the same type. You can create lists that contain multiple different data type. During lecture time, we will discuss some more complex operation and application of Python lists. See you in class.